All right, so 5 months ago, I picked up this Strat. This is a Jeff Beck signature model that you can hear it. It's a great guitar. I love it. I've had it 5 months, and this, even though this is a 2006 model, the hardware appointments and many of the characteristics of this guitar are kind of emblematic of what Fender was doing in the very late 80s and 90s. So to me, this era of guitar really feels like a 90s era Strat. The only thing that's not in the 90s is these particular pickups, but the bridge, tuners, the LSR roller nut, like all of these were like super commonplace throughout the 90s on a lot of Fender guitars. And they were so common. Like I feel like this era bridge with the block saddles, Fender probably used these in like, I don't know. I would love to know how many of these bridges they produced, but like it's got to be like 10 million, 20 million. Like it was millions of guitars had this bridge. They were so pervasive growing up. Like every guitar seemed like it had this bridge in it. It was so commonplace that like, I guess I just kind of got sick of them. Like it's funny when things are everywhere. It's hard to really evaluate it. So I had a number of these Strats growing up. I had a Sunburst, kind of classic looking Strat that I loved. It was great. I had a silver hardtail one. It was actually one of the worst guitars I've ever played, and that one didn't stick around too long. But they all had, kind of this era saddles, and I don't know the exact year, 2006 or 12, something like that. Fender stopped doing these block saddles on the American Standard Strats. And they went back to more of the traditional bent steel saddles because people love these things. These are awesome. It's a cool vintage vibe. Guitar will feel and play differently with these a little bit. It's subtle, but it's definitely real. Now, but there's annoying parts about bent saddle steels. The string may or may not stay in the middle of it. They develop rough spots and they wear out. The worst thing for me though is depending on the height they're set at, the screws will just chew your palm up. For me, it's particularly bad because I tend to just keep my palm there, so the bottom two strings will just eat my hand up. But they're still cool. Actually, Highwood makes the best kind of vintagey saddle with like modern appointments. It doesn't grind your heel off, so that's what I've got on my other Strat to kind of get that same kind of vibe. But so it's interesting coming back to, I haven't played one of these Strats or owned one in like 22 years. And so I didn't know if I was going to like this or not, because again, growing up, I kind of just got sick of it because they were everywhere. After having this for 5 months and just time to like kind of reflect on this era guitar and think like, is this any good? I've come to the conclusion that they are incredibly good, and I'm going to walk through why I like it. And I don't know, these have definitely fallen out of favor. Like if you're on the gear page, one of those nerds, nobody likes these. I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people don't like them. But like this bridge is great. One of the things that's annoying is screwing in a tremolo arm is stupid. I hate it. It's annoying when you put it in and out of the case to tighten it up. But as long as you have the spring, don't forget the spring. You got to have it. Okay, you have to have the spring, or this bridge sucks. If you have a spring in there, there's no play in the arm. So the arm is actually perfect. So a lot of the pop-in arms, like the Goto bridges, which I really like, have a collar on them with a little Allen nut. You can get just the right tension. This with the spring actually has zero play. So even though it's inconvenient to screw in the bridge, I mean, there's nothing. Like, that's perfect. So, man, that's fantastic. Also, Fender used to set them up straight from the factory, kind of tilted up. A lot of people are kind of militant about making the plate of the bridge sit flush on the body. These were not meant to do that. And I love setting these a traditional Strat 2-post bridge floating that's perfect for me. 6 screws are great too. Those are very serviceable, but 2-post is great. Like, it's fine. Anyway, so I went from not liking this bridge, like remembering, you know, like my memory thought that they sucked. And after having one and spending time with it, I've decided I freaking love this bridge and it's awesome. And I wish the American Standard Strats today, or they call it something different now, but I wish those still use this bridge because it's underrated. I mean, I think people just get, once you, I believe we'll go through a phase in a few years from now where people want to go back to block saddles. This will be old farts like me who look back in their childhood and were like, "God, weren't these so cool?" So they'll come back at some point. I just thought, like, growing up, I really liked the look of like the brushed metal tuners. You know, Fender used different ones in the late 80s, the Spurzels, and they switched to, I think Schaller might make these. I don't know, maybe Fender makes them. It doesn't matter. But this brushed metal look, I always thought was like really cool growing up. And same with the roller nuts. If I had my choice, I'd get the older Wilkinson style one, but those are incredibly hard to buy right now, and installing would just really mess the look up of this. So it is what it is. This one is better in some ways. The Wilkinson's better in other ways. They're both fine. It's not like if you have a traditional nut, just stick with that. They're not good enough to cut up your own guitar to have one installed. I did that on my old Sunburst Strat, and I can tell you don't do that. It's not worth it. But they are super cool if you get a guitar that was made to have one. This particular one, the nut is slightly high. So if it was a traditional style, I would lower it a little bit. The reason why I'm going to leave this one high is because you need as much downward pressure as possible. If I strum the high E string really loud, you'll hear this ring. And then if I mute it, you get a lot less of that sympathetic ringing noise. I don't know how well that's coming through the mic, but I can hear it here. So anyway, any height here is actually good to limit that, and honestly, it plays freaking great, so I don't care if it's ever so slightly high. That is one thing about this guitar that I've got it set up with kind of high action, but like... like you can get around it great, and it sounds so good. High action sounds better, so sue me if you disagree, but or yell at me, but high action guitars sound great, and you can get around it great. I don't have anything good to play, but farting around. And so anyway, all right, so after not having one of these for a long time and getting one and playing it, I've been playing this guitar the most during COVID, these COVID years. Now we have an S on the end, that sucks. But anyway, super cool, underrated. The style bridge is so good. Now, finally, I have to say that the hardware on your guitar does not make the guitar. It's a subtle factor. I've played, like I said, Fender has made some horrible dud guitars over the year. That's one of the reasons why I kind of avoided them for a long time. This particular one is amazing. Like the whole system works, and this one is just fantastic. That is not always the case. So your mileage will vary, and so you actually need to play one, spend some time with it, and get a good one. Especially in the 90s, they had ones that were just tremendous guitars, down to ones that were not great. So anyway, in conclusion, 90s Strats, 90s era hardware is fan-freaking-tastic. It holds up over time. I love it. It's great. Does that mean the particular one you have is any good? No. And you just need to play it and buy one that's good. Same for Gibson, right? Like all the different eras of pros and cons. At the end of the day, it's does the whole guitar work together to be good or kind of a lemon? And the reality is just because of inconsistencies in wood and a million other factors, a lot of these guitars are fantastic and some of them freaking suck. If you get a good one, but they are so good. So go find a good one. That's kind of the moral of the story. Get a good one, and then everything's fine. All right.